book lovers? It is G-Swiss here, and I've got a fat stack of books to haul once again. So I have 50 books here today, and I kept track of them this time. Previously did mention in my last book haul that I wanted to start keeping track of the books as they come in so I can prepare myself for the next book haul. And I've decided to do a system where like every, I don't know, like a round number of books, I think 50 is pretty much pushing it, that is when I am going to film my book haul. I am really happy that I decided to at 50 books, because if I did not cap it, if I kept on going, then this would be forever. So I'm going to talk about the last 50 books that I recently accumulated before I end up accumulating any more. So I guess without further ado, I'm going to get into this book haul and let you guys know what I've accumulated in the past few months. So first of all, I'm going to start off with some contemporary romances. I am trying to find some new contemporary romance authors to get into. I decided that part of that I wanted to get into Christina Lauren's books. I have two of their books in this haul today, one being Roomies and the other being The Soulmate Equation. And a big reason why I've wanted to try Christina Lauren out is because they are notorious for writing some very awesome contemporary romance. I actually also recently read Autobiography. It actually hit deeper than I expected. It was actually less on the romantic side of the spectrum. When it comes to fiction, it more deals with a lot more contemporary issues. However, I really wanted their take on more romantic subplots. Actually, I have another book from them in this haul. I just stacked it in the wrong place. I'm also hauling The Unhoneymooners as well. This is, I believe, their most recent novel, and it was the first one that I picked up out of the bunch. And speaking of romance authors, I also have to bring Tessa Bailey up. I ended up getting these as a Valentine's gift from Camilo, and I'm really thankful for that because I really enjoyed the Hot and Hammered series. My favorite out of the three is an unpopular opinion. It is Love Her or Lose Her. I think I preferred it because I am in a marriage and it deals with a second chance romance that is set within a marriage. I really appreciated what Tessa Bailey brought to the table in that novel. I really love the Hot and Hammered series. I definitely recommend it to people who are wanting to find a new romance series. It's not without flaw. It definitely could have been improved in some ways. However, I really enjoyed this companion trilogy. I also really enjoyed the Bellinger sisters companion duology. This series follows two different sisters. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed It Happened One Summer. However, I really appreciate this duology and I wish I could follow them even more, but you know, I just have to let them go. Tessa Bailey is really good at writing companion novel series. I've just enjoyed these books so much, so I endorse them while I'm hauling them. And another romance novel I've got to bring up is actually a romance novel that I read years ago and I actually unhauled because I didn't think that I was going to reread it, and I forgot majority of it. I feel like I skim read the book when I first read it, and I decided that maybe I just need to give it a second chance, and I think it's a perfect time to give it a second chance considering that I'm actually reading romance on a regular basis now. The romance novel that I'm talking about is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and this is, yes, now a motion major picture. I do want to read it now that I work in publishing and this has to do with working in a publishing house. I think when I read it the first time, I didn't really get majority of the references, barely remember anything about this novel, but I do want to get to it eventually again to see if I can resonate with anything in terms of the story. I honestly cannot wait to revisit it, I guess in the perspective of a now romance reader. You know how I hold a Colleen Hoover book last haul? Yeah, I kind of hold 3 more this time. When you end up going to Target or Kmart or Big W, you see these, a book that is at a really good price and you just decide, well, it's not really gonna hurt my wallet too much. That's my point of view when it comes to Colleen Hoover's books. I don't know if like I'm at the stage where I'd want to buy their books at full price, only because I'm not certain about them as an author yet, but I believe that I now kind of have the starter pack because I've got some of their romances. I've got an anti-romance, which is It Ends With Us, and then I also have Verity, which is a thriller. So I've got a good range of books to read from, and I kind of just want to know what Colleen Hoover's writing style is like. Her books are a niche in itself. One of my friends once said that she should just have her own genre because none of her books fit into a specific genre. She has a very unique writing style that you just really can't pinpoint. And now I'm gonna go into some manga, and recently I acquired Beastars Volume 16, which is the continuation of the Beastars series. I'm just getting closer to finishing it and grabbing and accumulating everything that is contained within the series, and I am honestly looking forward to actually reading more from this author because Beastars is one of my favorite series, and I believe that I would just enjoy anything else that they write or illustrate. And then I also have to haul Way of the House Husband Volume 7. I love this series so much, and when I found out that Volume 7 was coming out this month, I was super ecstatic. I was so happy to see Volume 7 be available because I've only just been binge reading this series as of recently, and unfortunately Volume 8 is not going to come out for months and months. I'm a little bit devastated because this series is so easy to binge because of how funny it is. The next two manga volumes I gotta bring up are from the same series, and it's a completely new series by Rumiko Takahashi, and that, my friends, is Mao. It has to do with exorcism, which is pretty fascinating. I wanted to pick the series up because I want to start off reading Rumiko Takahashi somehow. I thought that maybe it might be a good idea to start from one of their newer series. If you guys don't know, Rumiko Takahashi is the author of Inuyasha, which is another series that I will mention later. I've always wanted to start off reading a few of their series, and I just never know where to start. And considering that this is a new ongoing series, I decided to add these two to my TBR and to see how I go with it and to see whether it's worth continuing on with. Speaking of Rumiko Takahashi, we have the first 3 bind-ups of Inuyasha. I am so looking forward to continuing on with the series. This right here is Camilo's bookmark. I believe he might have finished Volume 1 and has moved on to Volume 2. These are bind-ups of the first 3 volumes, the second 3 volumes, and the third lot of 3 volumes. I have pretty much 9 volumes in my hand right now. I'm very much looking forward to reading these and collecting these in these formats. However, it was initially Camilo's idea to collect these and to start reading them, and I ended up buying him the second 2 for his Valentine's Day gift. Very exciting here because, you know, I can read these 2 eventually, and he's very much enjoying what he has read of the first bind-up so far, so I'm very much looking forward to hearing what he's got to say before I start reading it for myself. I hope that I enjoy it just as much as he does. And I also bought Chainsaw Man Volume 2 for his Valentine's Day gift. He's been wanting to continue on with the series for a while. I've been recommended the series a few times, and I'm really happy that Chainsaw Man has finally come back into stock and has finally gone back into print. Everybody else did not expect this series to be that successful, but it's been even more successful than everybody could possibly imagine. I'm very much looking forward to reading Chainsaw Man and then watching the anime when it finally comes out and seeing what the hype's about. And the last manga volume that I have to bring up in this haul is Rose and Blood. I have wanted to read this ever since I found out about it. This is a new vampire shoujo. I don't think I've even read any vampiric manga before. I think the only vampiric manga I've read is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I decided that I wanted to jump onto this new series because it's almost impossible to get every single volume of Vampire Knight. Rose and Blood is being hyped up at the moment. It's a shoujo as well, so I'm guessing that there's going to be some sort of romantic subplot. I don't know, but what I do know is that I'm intrigued. Speaking of vampires, I've got a book series that also includes vampires as one of their paranormal creatures. That, my friends, is Dark Secret by Danielle Rose. I read this one of the months of the year. I don't know whether it was January or February, and I ended up really enjoying it. I do recommend it to those who like series like Crave or Serpent and Dove. It is the start in a new paranormal series that I believe includes 10 novellas, but I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with the series because I believe that this was a very strong introduction. I'll let you guys know how I feel once I continue on. The next book that I've got to include in this book haul is my last Fable Crate book that I received before unsubscribing, and that, my friends, is Cold the Night, Fast the Wolf. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really excited about this book. However, what I do love about this edition is the blue shimmery pages. I don't necessarily like the customization as much as I like the original cover. I think the original cover was fine. I'm like unsure whether I'm going to read this or not. I think I just want to learn more about it and to read a few more reviews before I motivate myself to. And the next book that I ended up hauling this month is actually a bind up of 3 books. And the 3 books that I am hauling today in this one bind up are the books in the Fair Isle trilogy by Tessandra Odette. I really love this design. I really love this packaging. And I also love how it looks underneath. I think that that is absolutely gorgeous. I am completely and utterly in love with this packaging, even though this book or these 3 books all together is pretty much a brick. I could literally chuck this at someone and they could have like a massive concussion. I've read the Layla trilogy as of recently by Tessandra Odette, and I really enjoyed that, and that really motivated me to pick the Fair Isle trilogy up from them. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this series and letting you guys know how I go with it. I also have a few books from them in this haul as well, in another trilogy, which I'm going to show you as well. And that, my friends, is the Entangled with Fae trilogy by Tessandra Odette. This is a companion trilogy following different fairy tale reimaginings. The first one, I believe, being Beauty and the Beast, the second one being Cinderella, and the third one being The Little Mermaid. What I love about these editions so much is that underneath the dust jacket, once again, there's some really beautiful fan art. So just to continue to show you guys, this looks absolutely pretty. I am like absolutely obsessed with these editions, and that's why a lot of the time, as much as I do like collecting paperbacks, sometimes hardbacks come with very beautiful surprises, so I like being surprised with their beauty. I'm absolutely obsessed with these, and I cannot wait to read them, considering that I'm a big reimagining fan. The next book I got a haul is also an independently published fiction book that also has an amazing design underneath the hardback, and that, my friends, is a book from one of my favorite authors, and this is the second book in her Trial of Sorcerers series, and it's called A Hunt of Shadows. And what I love about this book and the series is that they've got a really cool design underneath the dust jacket. I really love the colors of this one. The first one is very similar as well. I'm very much looking forward to starting this book. I haven't started the first one yet. With this series, I'm more accumulating them in the hopes to binge read them eventually. With Elise Cover's books, especially the ones that take place in the Solaris Empire, I feel like those ones are more binge-worthy to me. And the next book I'm going to bring up is something that is a little bit different. It's not fiction at all. I am very inspired by the author's story, and I decided that I wanted to pick up their debut book that is also autobiographical, and that, my friends, is Wild and Witchy by Alira Potter. If you guys don't know, Alira Potter is an Australian Indigenous influencer, which I didn't know before hearing about this book. And what I love about this book even more is that one of their family members designed the cover, and it looks absolutely beautiful. What I love about this book is essentially its message about loving yourself, especially through the hard times, and Alira Potter is very transparent about her struggles in this book, but also encourages self-love and self-value. And I'm also going to mention a couple of books that I've hauled from the bookish box. I recently opened their November adult box, and I ended up getting these two books here, one of them being A Spindle Splintered and the other one being The Matzo Ball. I've read A Spindle Splintered and I found it to be okay. I can see how this has potential to spin off to many other books, but I didn't enjoy the story itself. Like, I just found the story itself to be okay. This being said, I might continue on with the rest of the series. I don't know. I think I just want to hear some other convincing reviews before I consider it, but I'm very much looking forward to The Matzo Ball because I've been getting into some adult romance contemporary, and I have a feeling that this is going to be a good romance contemporary. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to getting to this one eventually, and I'm thankful that I received these two in my November bookish box. And then for my November young adult box, I ended up receiving Autumn's Tithe by Hannah Parker. I really love the customization of this cover. It looks completely different from the original design that they were going for, and oh my goodness, I'm absolutely in love with how beautiful they made this. That right there is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm also just tempted to display it the way that it is underneath the dust jacket. It's just all around absolutely beautiful, and I love displaying this on my shelf. And then my December adult book pick for the bookish box was King of Battle in Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. I absolutely love this customization, especially the pages, especially the dust jacket and the art that's underneath. It is so pretty. I love this, and just that, oh my goodness. I was obsessed with it when I first saw it, and I'm still very much obsessed with it. I cannot wait to read this book. This book is from the author of A Touch of Darkness, which is a series that I've wanted to get fully into. I've only read the first book, and I cannot wait to continue on with the series. It just sounds right up my alley and what I'm currently interested in. The series, I believe, is more on the high fantasy spectrum, but also has a bit of like paranormal elements to it, considering that vampires are involved. Cannot wait for King of Battle and Blood, and to let you guys know how I go with it. And then my December young adult bookish box pick for the month was Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. Now, the edition that I'm holding up, I took the dust jacket off for. I just like displaying it like this on my shelves. I've actually read this book and I actually enjoyed it. I reckon that it was a very good fantasy standalone, and I'm never usually satisfied with fantasy standalones, so that coming from me says a lot. I have to say that this was a good book pick for the month, and I ended up really enjoying it, and I'm very happy with this beautiful design. And the bookish box adult pick for the month of January ended up being Fireheart by Emma Hamm. I love this edition. This cover is actually the original cover. However, under the dust jacket has this really cool kind of like almost metallic plain cover. Like it's plainer, like it's minimalistic. However, I really love the design of it, and I really love this little dragon design here. It's an absolutely beautifully packaged book with some swords on the pages. I love this edition. I reckon that they did such a good job with it, and I'm very much looking forward to reading Fireheart, considering that a lot of people who have subscribed to the bookish box and who are in the group absolutely love Emma Hamm's work. So I want to read more from Emma Hamm, and I want to read Fireheart and let you guys know how I go with it. Now let's talk about some more new adult fantasy. I have the first 3 books in the Plated Prisoner series, but in the hardback editions. Now, I don't love love these as much as I love the paperback editions. However, I experienced FOMO. I saw these and I thought to myself, I have to get them. I absolutely love how they all look underneath the dust jackets. They all look very similar, but I just really like this design. I still have the Bookish Box special editions on the way as well. I have a problem. And then during Black Friday, I ended up purchasing a few books from Owl Crate because they were having a bit of a sale. The package ended up coming like super late. Thankfully, they finally made it to me, so I decided to purchase the Owl Crate exclusive of Extraordinary by Victoria Schwab. I really love this cover. I thought that everybody was like crazy about the Illumicrate cover, but turns out I don't think many people are. The Illumicrate cover doesn't really look that amazing. I actually prefer the original. However, I do like this edition as well. I think it's because I like the color palette. So I just decided, yeah, it's an exclusive, so I'll get it, and I may as well while they have a 25% sale on all these books right now. And I also ended up buying Sisters of the Snake. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually prefer this cover. The original cover just has the background as yellow, but I really love this green color. I just really gravitate toward this color, so that's why I decided that I was gonna get it. I'm really happy that I bought it because I don't think I would have picked it up if I didn't see that Owl Crate was selling an exclusive edition. And the final book I ended up picking up from Owl Crate was Jade Fire Gold by June CL10. I like this edition. I think that this edition looks really cool. I especially love the spine. Look at that spine. And there are some dark green pages here. I just reckon that this edition looked really cool, so I just decided, why not? If I'm gonna get any special edition, at least get one that is available. Honestly, I really wish that I could have the Fairy Loot edition, but maybe one day I'll buy that secondhand. I just think that it's pretty cool all around. And speaking of picking up books secondhand, I think I mentioned in my last book haul that the Book Depository really screwed me over with buying the first edition of Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I decided to react with rage and decided to spend $200 on a secondhand copy of the Fairy Loot edition, and it looks beautiful. I'm really hoping that this book is good. I've put it on my 5-star predictions TBR. I am hoping the best for this book, to the point that I even bought like the most beautiful edition I could find. I am in love with this edition. I just can't get over how beautiful the aesthetics are for the series. I'm really pushing myself over the edge before I even attempt to read it. This is unhealthy. And this time around, for obvious reasons, I also hold House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. This is the second book in the Crescent City series. I've already read this. I've already talked about this on my channel as well. Let's just say that it is one of the worst cliffhangers I've had to experience, and I'm still hurting. And I ended up picking up the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab, as I was also buying the Plated Prisoner series. I'm happy that I have this for the sake of finally having it, because I have just been looking at it, I've been so tempted to buy it, and I finally bought it, and now I have 6 editions of the same book. But you know what? I love it that much. And the third last series that I'm going to mention in this haul today that are special editions are the Bridge Kingdom books. So the first book being The Bridge Kingdom and the second book being The Traitor Queen, both by Danielle L. Jensen. I absolutely love these beautifully designed covers. They look absolutely stunning, and when I first saw the first book, I thought that the rest of the books were going to have a different color palette, but I'm kind of happy that they're keeping the same patterns and the same colors. I think that the rose gold with the different greens and blues look absolutely beautiful, and it suits the series very well, and I just love the typography on these, and I'm absolutely in love with these stenciled edges. I think that the Bookish Box did an excellent job with these. I cannot wait to get the Inadequate Air. And the second last series that I've got to bring up that is also a special edition is the first book in the Touch of Darkness series called A Touch of Darkness. This is the Bookish Box special edition, and then I also have the first book in the Hades series. It's kind of a spin-off, but it's from his perspective, which is A Game of Fate. These are the Bookish Box special editions of Scarlett Sinclair's first 2 books in this world, and oh my goodness, they look absolutely beautiful. What I love about this cover design so much, especially the first one, is that the first one has the flowers and it has the aesthetic of the original book series. However, it amplifies it because we have this beautiful character art designed by Alethian Art, and oh my goodness, I am obsessed. I also really love these beautiful stenciled edges, and I really love the Dominique Wesson fan art underneath. I'll see if you guys can see that. That is absolutely gorgeous. I'm in love. And the last series that I've got to include in this book haul today is also illustrated by the same illustrator, who just so happens to be one of my favorite illustrators regardless. When I found out that Illumicrate was doing another collaboration with them, I decided to jump in on it, and they ended up illustrating the beautiful new editions of the Winner's Trilogy by Marie Rukowski. I am absolutely in love with these covers. They are absolutely beautiful, and this is a series that I've only considered giving a second chance because Alethian Art illustrated the special editions of these covers. And honestly, it usually only takes like one of my favorite illustrators to jump on the bandwagon for me to like make up my mind. And that is what I did. I made up my mind. I saw these. I was like, wow, I'm gonna get these. I didn't like the books when I first read them, but that's because I ended up reading them at a time where I was looking for something else in my fantasy books. You know what? I'm gonna read it from a new perspective and kind of hope that this series is like my new Daughter of Smoke and Bone, where I ended up not liking the series initially because I was looking for something else to read, but at an older age, I appreciate the series and I read it and I'm like, wow, blown away by it because I didn't expect it to be awesome the second time round. So fingers crossed that's gonna happen. And I'm very happy that once again, Illumicrate decided to collaborate with Alephian Art, and I hope that they keep collaborating for the years to come. So I guess that's gonna be it for this book haul today, book lovers. If you happen to stay till the end of the video, leave me the starry eye emoji. I just decided that with all these beautiful books and these special editions that they leave me starry-eyed sometimes. If you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also I have social medias. I'm at GSwizzleBooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also at Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/GSwizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at GSwizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it into double. Started out with half and I flipped it into double.